None of his speeches are long, but they are packed with information this time round. And what he has said is this. He says that Iran must not have nuclear weapons, that is something that both Israel and the United States, it's a position they share. It must not have nukes, and it must no longer be a source of funding and organising for terror organisations. He also makes the link between the moderate Sunni nations, in which he includes Saudi Arabia, where he's just been, and says they are also opposed to Iran and therefore on the same side as Israel. He said that Prince Salman has told him that what we are going to see is a possible link between Israel and Saudi Arabia, because they both have the same views. And King Salman also told him that he really supports the possibility of peace here between Israel and the Palestinians, and he's going to make an effort to support it as well.
Iris, this is a clearly historic visit with very tight security, and we're actually getting some live images now, I think, of the president possibly in the Old City. Do correct us if I have this wrong, where he's going into the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. Just how are Mr. Trump and his entourage actually getting around, given the high level of security?
It's the highest security I've ever seen, including for previous American presidential visits. So when he left the Israeli airport, he came in a helicopter. There was nothing else moving in the sky except for other Israeli and American leaders, other Israeli and American helicopters. The whole of the main road between Tel Aviv and Jerusalem, there were no cars on it. It was an extraordinary sight, actually. Then he lands here. All the roads have been closed. And now, I think the biggest challenge, the biggest security challenge for Israeli and American police here is actually the old city of Jerusalem. It's ancient, narrow alleyways. There are people who live there. Some of them have been asked to leave. Stalls have been closed. Restaurants have been closed since Saturday night. But still, it is the least safe place, if you like. And that is where he is at the moment, going first to the Church of the Holy Sepulchre and then to the holiest site for Jews, the Western Wall. And both, just getting between the two will be fraught. And I have to say, it is the first time that a sitting president has visited. Other presidents have visited before and after, but not while they're in power.
And just to give the viewer a sense of just how difficult it is logistically, I mean, you and I know the old city well, and it's full of narrow alleyways, lots of stairways. It's a real rabbit warren, isn't it?
It's an ancient rabbit warren. The stones are slippery, the alleyways are very narrow. Normally it's thronged with people and there are shops. All of that's been shut. You won't see a person on those narrow streets. But still, there are homes, there are places where people, if they wanted to, if they were planning an attack, could put themselves. And all of that has to be seen to. Those homes have to be visited. And that is the road, that is the steps that he's walking, actually many of the same steps that Jesus walked. And that's where he's walking at this moment to get to the Church of the Holy Sepulchre.
And of course, that is in the Christian quarter of the Old City. Is he actually going to be at all anywhere near the Muslim quarter?
I believe that he's going to leave the Christian quarter, walk out through one gate, walk in from one gate, walk out through another, and then drive around to the Western Wall. He's not going to walk through the old city to the Western Wall. That would be a very, very complicated security detail. So what they're trying to do is minimise the time, the access, if you're a potential attacker, that you could have to President Trump and his family on this, at the moment, personal visit. He's not accompanied by Israeli officials. They did ask, Israel's Prime Minister asked to come, and he was told, no, this is a personal visit, and that's how President Trump wants to keep it.
Now, coming back to what Donald Trump has been saying, what did he say when he first arrived at the airport, Iris?
He spoke, none of the speeches have been long, but he did mention peace 3 times just in that meeting. And I think that's slightly thrown this right-wing government headed by Benjamin Netanyahu, because Israel's president and Israel's prime minister spoke about the grandness of America, the grandness of the relationship, and peace was further down the line. So it's clear that this is on the mind of the American president. He spoke about it again when he met the president just now in the Israeli president's residence. So we're seeing that this is a theme, and at the Israeli president's residence, Donald Trump also mentioned Mahmoud Abbas, the Palestinian leader. So he's making that the theme of this visit. He is not just here about trade ties, though he did mention the deficit. He is also here, primarily here, for that elusive grand deal, the peace between Israel and the Palestinians.
And he'll be meeting with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu this evening, as Israel, of course, yesterday marked 50 years of unification of Jerusalem, a move, as we know, not recognised by the international community. But are we expecting any announcement as such of moving the American embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem?
That is the question that all the right-wing Israeli leadership particularly, but many Israelis altogether, were really hanging on to, because that was the promise that Donald Trump made on the campaign trail. Since then, he has changed that both his tone and what he said, and there is no indication that during this visit he's going to make that announcement. He hasn't moved the embassy yet, and I don't think we're going to hear that during this visit either.
Now, he's also heading to Bethlehem tomorrow to meet with Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas. What are we expecting to come out of that particular meeting, Iris?
He added this trip to Bethlehem. He's only here for 26 hours. So adding a Palestinian stop was a mark of honour for President Abbas. And President Abbas is treating it like that. There is conflict at the moment in the West Bank, but that's being kept far away from Bethlehem, which is shut down almost as tight as Jerusalem is today, because for 45 minutes, Donald Trump will be in Bethlehem, and in that 45 minutes, Mahmoud Abbas doesn't want any trouble. He wants it to go smoothly because he's a wily old diplomatic fox, and he sees a possibility here. He sees that this leader, this unpredictable right-wing leader, is possibly the one who may bring Israel to the table in a different way. And he's playing with that possibility, and he's taking this trip very seriously.